Toy Story is hands down Pixar's biggest franchise. It's so insanely successful that Toy Story 5 dropped just this year. And naturally, LEGO wasn't about to sleep on such a massive movie that could, in theory, rake in some serious cash for them. But obviously, that's only assuming they actually nailed the execution. So, did they manage to pull it off or not? Well, that's exactly what we're gonna dive into today. So, the guys over in Denmark first decided to drop these Toy Story sets back in late 2009, right ahead of the third movie's release, as well as those 3D re-releases for the first two flicks. During the design phase, they hit a major roadblock. The thing is, in the movie, some characters, specifically Jessie and Woody, have this super distinct lanky design. To capture that look, LEGO took a pretty massive gamble. They gave the minifigures elongated arms and legs, plus completely custom heads. Sure, it nailed their scale perfectly, but it totally killed the playability. They couldn't fit into a single standard vehicle or even sit at a regular table. A lot of people also roasted these figures for giving off major uncanny valley vibes. They pulled a similar move with Buzz Lightyear. Instead of just giving him a standard head and slapping a helmet on top, the LEGO designers created this giant, single-molded headpiece that combined the neck and the helmet, which honestly made a lot more sense, but still looked kinda weird. If you ask me, going this route with the minifigs was super risky, but it totally paid off. The side characters turned out especially great, and we got a ton of wild brand new custom LEGO molds for them. But what about the sets themselves? LEGO dropped a few sets for the first and second movies and went a bit harder on the third one. And honestly, almost all of them were straight fire and perfectly captured those iconic movie moments. You've got the train from the opening scene, the garbage truck, Lotso's dump truck, and the junkyard from the finale. By the way, there's actually a crazy story behind that junkyard set, so the Toy Story 3 sets hit store shelves a full month before the movie even premiered. And set 7596, the trash compactor escape, literally spoiled the entire movie. It flat out revealed that Lotso was the main villain and showed the heroes literally inches away from death. The guys over in Denmark got completely roasted for dropping spoilers like that. Another absolute banger of a set was 7595 Army Men on Patrol. Not only is this an amazing battle pack in its own right, since it packs 4 awesome minifigs, but it also leans heavy into that military aesthetic. Because, let's be real for a sec, those green army men are a direct callback to American infantry from World War II and Vietnam. Now, since day one, LEGO has had this super strict internal rule: no realistic modern warfare and no realistic weapons. But LEGO's legal team found a massive loophole here, arguing that the set is just a representation of toys. And functionally, they aren't wrong. Thanks to this loophole, we got one of the coolest LEGO sets ever made that actually has ties to real warfare. Also in 2010, LEGO dropped some Duplo sets, which allowed the guys in Denmark to capture as broad of an age demographic as possible. Ultimately, the Toy Story theme became a massive cash cow for LEGO, especially since the movie itself smashed the box office, grossing over $1 billion. At that point, all LEGO had to do was sit back and wait for the next sequel to drop so they could pump out new toys. Fast forward 9 years to 2019, and boom, Toy Story 4 hits theaters. Naturally, looking back at the insane success of the previous wave, LEGO wasn't about to sleep on an event like this. But in that time frame, the company's strategy had shifted a bit, and they started strictly separating their age categories. They figured, hey, it's a kids movie, so we should probably just focus on sets for little kids. So, they rolled out an entire wave in the 4+ format, and honestly, it was a complete flop. Not only were the builds incredibly boring, taking like 2 minutes to put together because every piece was massively oversized to make it easy for kids to build, but the sets were also ridiculously overpriced. Again, that was thanks to those huge custom molded pieces and the dreaded Disney tax. You can literally see this downgrade with set 10766, Woody and RC. The 2010 version was a solid, detailed build, well worth the price, whereas the 2019 version is straight up a toddler toy. Honestly, making these exclusively for little kids was a bizarre move. Toy Story has a massive adult fan base. I mean, the franchise itself was already 24 years old at that point. On the bright side, they did fix the minifigures. Sure, they lost a bit of that unique charm, but they became a lot more standard and visually appealing. Though it's kinda confusing. If you're gonna use giant chunky pieces for the build anyway, you might as well keep the oversized, lanky minifigs. But hey, trying to understand LEGO's logic is sometimes impossible. Even though the 2019 wave was technically a financial success for LEGO, it fell short of the 2010 line in literally every single metric, both in revenue and in fan love. While the 2010 sets are still highly sought after by collectors today, the 2019 sets are basically shelf warmers that nobody cares about. After that, LEGO essentially pulled the plug on the dedicated Toy Story theme. 2022, we got another movie set in the Toy Story universe, but this time, it wasn't a mainline sequel, it was an experimental spin-off. And people really weren't feeling this experiment. The movie absolutely bombed at the box office. But on the flip side, because the movie wasn't about toys and instead focused on a more serious sci-fi astronaut storyline, LEGO actually managed to drop some pretty high quality sets. Take set 76832, the XL-15 spaceship, for example. It's an absolute banger of a set, from top tier minifigures that have great playability for kids to the ship itself, which has amazing display value for adult fans. Unfortunately, because the movie tanked, the sets ended up tanking right along with it. For a long time after that, LEGO didn't release any full-fledged Toy Story sets except for a few random sets where the characters popped up as little cameos. But then, the highly anticipated Toy Story 5 drops and LEGO rolls out a brand new wave of sets under the general Disney banner. And let me tell you, these are some of the best Toy Story sets we've ever gotten. Check this out, 43301 Toy Story Slinky Dog Bookends. Not only is this build designed at an incredibly high level, but it actually has great play features and is super functional. 43307 Alien with Pizza Planet Rocket Ride, another absolutely adorable set from LEGO. You can pop the alien out, stick him in the rocket, and the rocket actually moves using a cool little mechanism. Super solid build. 43306 Lotso, a super cute pink bear build with some really solid articulation in the arms.